And there are the Argentinian fans, and the two teams. I wonder just how nervous these boys are as the substitutes take their places on the bench. And the two teams, of course, get ready for the national anthems. Australia has been chasing a World Cup finals appearance in 1974. They were chasing it before then for the 1966 World Cup. They missed out barely for the 1970 World Cup. 74 they made it, of course. 78 they got eliminated quite early in the Asian playoff series. In 82 by New Zealand. In 86 by Scotland. In 1990, or for the 1990 World Cup, by Israel, and indeed by New Zealand after disastrously losing 2-0 in Auckland. And now the call beckons again. I think we're almost ready for the
Australia's date with destiny here at the Sydney Football Stadium. The first leg of the World Cup qualifier between the mighty Argentina, ranked number 9 in the world. But there's the Australian lineup. This 9th World Cup qualifier in this campaign sees 2 changes to the team which defeated Canada. Ex-captain Paul Wade is back in favour. He replaces the suspended French-based striker Frank Farina. Wade will have the ominous task of confronting Maradona in the midfield. Aston Villa goalkeeper Mark Bosnich returns after prematurely retiring from World Cup football. Two-time world champions Argentina have a totally new look with 7 alterations to the team humbled 5-0 by Colombia. Diego Armando Maradona has answered his country's call, and he captains the side for the first time since the 1990 World Cup final. Number 18, Abel Balbo, is back, while there's 3 changes to the defence. McAllister, Vasquez and Chamot have been promoted. The World Cup finals of 1990 were viewed by 26 billion throughout the world. The Olympics of 92 were viewed by 16.6 billion. That tells the story of the world game. During the week, the media interest was so intense. Here today, there are 97 photographers, 11 radio networks, 9 from Argentina. The viewing audience estimates of around 400 million, with roughly 1 billion people, all corners of the world, viewing this return of Diego Armando Maradona. But more importantly, Australia's turn to sit up and show the rest of the world how the football has progressed here. The exploits at youth levels are well documented. 2 semi-final appearances in the last 2 World Championships. A semi-final appearance at the 92 Olympics and 2 quarter-final appearances in the last 2 under-17 World Championships. But the most important point of the game here in this country is that Australia qualifies as the 2 captains, Diego Armando Maradona and Paul Wade, dropped for the Canada Games, the back in the starting 11. The referee there, Sandor Pool, 44-year-old Hungarian. He refereed a World Cup match just 2 weeks ago, but he's had some problems as well in preparation for this game. He flew in on Friday night. He's really been suffering from jet lag, and word has come through that he's had trouble sleeping. I don't think that'd be nerves, though. The nerves are certainly out there for the 22 players. And Johnny, you've been through this so many times before, representing Australia. You know what it's like to play in a World Cup final series, and Australia possibly 180 minutes away.
Yeah, and it's a question of temperament. I just have a great confidence in our team. That's a big ask, Andy, because Argentina is the highest caliber of opponent that you can pick. Maradona coming back has lifted them psychologically, but it's a question of temperament, and I point to the fact that so many of our boys are earning their living in Europe, playing big names each week. They are playing in front of big crowds, quite often hostile crowds, so that the temperament is there to be able to perform. Quite often when you don't have that temperament, you don't perform on the big occasion. I have faith in the boys. Very interesting from the kickoff that Maradona won the toss and took the ball. And that's a little coaching tip for some of the young players watching, that you don't have to choose which end. Maradona said, we'll take the ball, and Australia, of course, then had the choice of ends.
Les Scheifele on the left there of Eddie Thompson. He was there at the World Cup of '74 as the assistant coach to Rally Rasic.
And what a night for Raul Blanco there, the other assistant coach. Been here some 26 years now, from Argentina, has contributed so much to the development of our youth teams, and sitting on the Australian bench tonight. So a big night for Raul Blanco. Diego
Maradona, 81 internationals, 32 goals. His club career is so imposing. 378 league appearances around the world and 197 goals. He's looked the goods at training. He has shed around 12 kilos in 6 weeks. As we await the start of the final phase of qualification, Argentina were expected to have made it to the USA before this part of proceedings, as Sandor Pool gets us away. Maradona, he gets his first touch. The debutant McAllister knocks it down the line. Tony Vidmar looking for Arnold. Arnold was held back. And Arnold in a real hurry there. He'll play the lone man up front. Robbie Slater looks inside for Zelic. A switch across for the big men. And now Van Blerk. Well worth the try from there. Van Blerk's been in good touch in Holland. In 10 league appearances with Go Ahead Eagles, he's put away 5 goals, and that's an important sign for the Australians, because the style of play that he is in this team. On the left side of the defence, there's Alfio Basile. He'll still be having some headaches and bitter memories of that 5-0 defeat to Colombia. McAllister inside. Van Blerk there looking for Slater. On by Tony Vidmar for Slater. Arnold inside. The Red Baron looks up and wins the corner kick. A bright start for the Coca-Cola Socceroos. Robbie Slater has been to several clubs in Europe. He trialled with Nottingham Forest. He was with Anderlecht, and he's made a name for himself in France with Lens. Sweet-looking corner, Goicoechea comes. And the challenge there, the referee not happy with. Paul Wade went up. But a good opening for Australia.
Very positive, Andy, and testing Goycochea very early. One of the weaknesses of Goycochea is his ability to handle crosses. And Australia testing him there, even though it was a foul on Wade. But good, they're taking the game to Argentina, which they have to do. I think it's vital that they don't let Argentina settle. Just to pressure them, both with and without the ball, and that we need a really big game from Slater here.
And then Slater with a touch for Arnold. Arnold mesmerising the defence. The cross not good enough. And that was almost an own goal. Well, some real panic in the Argentine defence. It's a new-look defence. McAllister and Chabot making their debuts. Borelli the sweeper, Vasquez in front. Arnold disappointed with the cross, no doubt. But they can take heart from their start here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Slater with a corner. Goycochea lets it go. Too deep for him to go for. Vidmar was in. And, well, there was certainly a bit of a dangerous challenge. Jose Chamot, the debutant, being spoken to. He went to Italy 6 years ago and finally made the grade with Foggia. He's in possession. Van Bleuk, no mucking around with his challenge. He hasn't given up the fight. Chamot, Redondo, who was replaced in the Colombia match. McAllister, sounds Scottish, but is of Irish background. Good steal by McAllister. Basualdo on the left. Batistuta's first touch. In was Jurakovic. Redondo. Free is Jose Chamot. Body check by Aurelio Vidmar. Important to note as well that 3 of the players in the starting 11 for Argentina on yellow cards: Borelli, Batistuta, Basualdo, and 3 for Australia: Van Bleuk, Ivanovic and Jurakovic. Maradona's free. He's made a brilliant run. Van Bleuk's there. Good steal. Great defending from the Socceroo. Vidmar challenges all round, an Australian throw. But a delightful run from Maradona. Zelic, Van Bleuk, Arnold. Chamot, the man again. A real tough defender. Not a typical Argentinian player when it comes to the skill factor of his game. But he's been given the chance. Jason Van Bleuk, his father Cliff played for Australia. It was a tough style of player. As Van Bleuk looks deep again. Wade, that's a bit too deep. Wade should keep it in, he does. And it's been given for Argentina. 5 minutes into this game. Tremendous atmosphere here at the Sydney Football Stadium. A World Cup without Argentina, unthinkable amongst the soccer elite of the world. The Australian side comprising of several overseas-based players. All in all, about 50 playing in Europe. It's changed in the last 4 or 5 years. Slater makes a great run. Zelic, no power on the shot. The referee waves play on. Goycochea is not too happy about it. But it's very positive for the Socceroos early on. Chamot. Batistuta. And Alex Tobin concedes the foul. Delightful touch there from the Argentinians. Gabriel Batistuta. He has been offered a contract in Turkey worth 20 million. Fiorentina, his club in Italy, rate him as the most expensive player on the market at the moment. Maradona. Perez. Van Blurk. Maradona. Van Blurk dispossessed. Balbo. And he regained his composure at the back. Abel Balbo. He's with the Roma club in Italy. He's had a bit of a dry spell. Only one goal in Serie A in Italy. He hasn't scored an international for his country. The first corner for Argentina. Bosnich was thinking about coming away by Aurelio Vidmar. Redondo. In was the man they call the Bulldog, Robbie Slater. An Australian throw-in. Important that Bosnich gets a touch here. The Aston Villa goalkeeper, he's been in tremendous form for his club. He played midweek against Sunderland, produced 6 world-class saves, and he's acting as the extra sweeper and getting extra distance there coming out of his area. And Van Blurk not happy. The linesman, Sandor Martin, right on the spot there. Chamot looking for Maradona, Wade with him. Van Blurk. Arnold. Still Arnold. The tenacious Graham Arnold. Advantage rule. Van Blurk, he can't get past the number 6, Vasquez. Back in favour after making his debut in '91. Slater. Diego Maradona rates Slater as the danger player. And he's also impressed with Aurelio Vidmar. McAllister in. The fans not happy with the challenge. Australia's throw. That's Mehmet Jurakovic, the number 13, leaving it for Tony Vidmar. And obstruction, the ruling against Slater on McAllister. Already 7 fouls in the game. Easy work at the back for Milan Ivanovic. No goals yet at the Sydney Football Stadium. At the 10-minute mark, Redondo. Perez. Zelic in there as well. Batistutas free. And that goes behind the big defender. Chamot.
Excellent pressuring by the Australians without the ball, and even on Batistuta, a player of class, forced into error by the good pressure play by Australia. The other good sign for us is Arnold and Slater in good touch. Forwards, quite often you can just have one of those games or be played out of it, but Arnold in good touch, so is Slater. It's a good sign for Australia.
Ivanovic. Straight to Redondo. McAllister sent a lot of the ball early on. Batistuta wants it deep. He's looking for Batistuta. Tobin went up with him. Van Blurk, the free player for Australia. Aurelio Vidmar down the line for Arnold. McAllister. Well, it's Pirelli rather than the number 2 back there, but now inside for Aurelio Vidmar. Van Blurk. Zelic has got a bit of space. Slater. It's a good ball for Tony Vidmar. The cross not deep enough. Arnold's in there though. And covered at the back. One for Balbo to chase. Ivanovic. His great form resulted in his promotion against Canada, which forced Ned Zelic into the midfield role. Tobin along for Van Blurk. Zelic. Van Blurk. That's not a bad looking cross. So close for Australia. Graham Arnold, the danger man, but a delightful cross from Van Blurk. Arnold came at the near post. The first real incident of the game.
Australia's best attacking move, and it shows what they have to do. Open Argentina on the flanks using Van Blurk on the left, or Aurelio Vidmar, Slater and Tony Vidmar on the right, with Arnold finishing through the middle. That was an excellent move by Australia. They have Argentina rattled, which is a big thing to say, but Argentina just haven't got on their feet yet, and that's full credit to Australia.
Van Blurk. Aurelio Vidmar, the runners are coming through. Slater wants it on the left. He's going across. That's not a bad ball for his brother Tony. The understanding, the brothers, they've played so many games in the backyard in Adelaide.
And
they
again,
know exactly what they do there.
And again, the type of move, Andy. Good switch by Aurelio to his brother, but opening Argentina on the flanks. And the more you see Aurelio Vidmar, Van Blurk attacking on the left, Tony Vidmar and Slater on the right, the more Australia's cooking.
And just on Slater, that was a decisive run through the middle to take out a couple of defenders. And it left Tony Vidmar free as Ned Zelic with a big challenge. Van Blurk away. And young Van Blurk's having a great start to the game as well.
He is. His dad would be proud. You mentioned earlier, of course, Cliffy playing back in the very first World Cup, back in '65. Different times then, of course, but no prouder person in the stadium, Cliff Van Blurk, of young Jason.
Bosnich looking for Arnold, straight up the middle. That's a confident throw. The header didn't go back for Zelic, though. It went straight to Basualdo. Now Balbo. Jurakovic, the man who silenced Gary Lineker and Jean-Pierre Papin, as Australia have picked up the beat a bit here. Tony Vidmar with a challenge. Wade over there chasing. Redondo, he clips the heels of Tony Vidmar. Redondo, a real ball player of the midfield. He's with the Tenerife club in Spain. Milan Ivanovic, he set an Australian transfer record when he left Red Star in Yugoslavia to join Adelaide City. The move $50,000, but times have changed. The likes of Zelic valued at around $5 million. And it's Zelic in possession. Aurelio Vidmar is a real offensive player. 19 goals in the Belgian league last season. Van Blurk inside for Zelic. Good possessional play by the Australians. Wade was free inside, but it's gone too deep. You can see the tension out there. Goycochea just taking a big, deep breath. Regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Wade and Maradona. Captain to captain. Perez. Chamot. Up was Wade. In was Ivanovic. And down went Basualdo. And again, there's room here for Van Blurk. Aurelio Vidmar. On for Arnold, too strong though. Away by Borelli. Argentina having weathered that early storm of attack from Australia.
It just shows you, Andy, how difficult it is for any country, even such a high pedigree as Argentina, to play away from home. It's a different circumstances completely.
Here's Slater. Robbie Slater was tripped, and the referee allowed the advantage, and the shot just wasn't forceful enough. It probably was a good decision to allow the advantage rule. Slater was on his way. He beat Borelli. He was coming to goal. He was taken out just there, and the shot in the end just not strong enough.
But again, a great sign for Australia. The referee did play the advantage, but Slater in good touch, excellent touch, and that is vital for Australia. Argentina really rattled, as teams are when they play away from home. But the classic battle going on out there, Andy, is Redondo against Zelic in midfield. The two real class acts directly opposed to one another. But Australia on top in midfield.
Maradona has not seen enough of the ball to assert his influence.
Well, they're outplayed in midfield. That's where Australia's getting on top.
They've only got two attackers at the moment, but they've looked apart here. Basualdo. Here's Wade. Aurelio Vidmar, a good dummy there. Can they turn defence into attack? Zelic, the man that Johnny Warren was talking about, Redondo, puts the challenge in.
Tactically, Argentina, Van Blerk is free on so many occasions, able to come forward. I'm sure at half-time they'll try and do something about it. But Van Blerk free is causing all sorts of problems down the left.
One thing I noticed, the referee, Sandor Pour from Hungary, has allowed the advantage.
Well, it's good. Good refereeing should allow the advantage.
Maradona, Wade again on his heels. Clever dummy by Redondo. Basualdo across. McAllister. Back for the Tenerife midfielder. Maradona. Borelli. McAllister. The touch came from Basualdo, too strong for Bel Balbo, the number 18. Ivanovic. Van Blerk. Back again for the 32-year-old sweeper. Wade. The most capped player in this team, 64 appearances. It equals the all-time record. Aurelio Vidmar giving it to Batistuta. He knew that Bosnich was off his line. It looked like a bit of a hand, but the referee let the flow of the game go there.
Quick thinking of Batistuta, that's why he's so
clever.
highly regarded. But that is the problem for Australia. They are on top in so many respects, but just that errors at the back, and that's all it takes for the whole apple cart to be upset, and just a little bit more concentration in those situations. It's Redondo, the good player I was rating so highly earlier. His clash with Zelic. But until Argentina start to exert some influence in midfield, we're not going to see much of Maradona.
Vidmar. Zelic, he's got the room to move. Zelic elects to shoot. Maybe the option would have been better across for Slater. But with a bit of a wind in the sails for the Australian players at the moment, they're
and he has
not
scored,
overawed
he
whatsoever.
has done it from long distance, and why not? You know, obviously after it goes over the bar, we all feel that he should have passed it. But it just again reinforces the way that this game is going, that Australia more and more on top. They just have to keep that pressure on and just don't let Argentina get into the game at all. It's Batistuta. Knows how to get a penalty, knows how to get a free kick.
And look at Wade. Wherever Maradona goes, Wade follows. There's not much support at the edge of that Australian box as Maradona plays it short. Back inside for Perez. Ivanovic on. Wade up. Chamot trying to weave his way through. A timely clearance by Tobin. Now Ivanovic. Slater. That's confident play. Slater. A blatant body check. Well, that really is a bookable offence, as Robbie Slater signals to the referee. Slater was on his way through. His pace, his skills, mesmerising there. That is...
I don't think there's any doubt that was a yellow card. Slater on his way, it was a professional foul. Redondo had no other choice but to foul him. At the same time, should have been a yellow card for him. Slater again, he's so aggressive taking the Argentinians on, creates the extra man. I mean, it is such a big plus that he is firing.
That looked a bit late on Arnold. An Australian throw. There's question marks there from the Argentinians. It's been given for Argentina. The linesman wasn't prepared to signal either way, and that's why the referee was left in the precious situation there, really. It was a tough one for him because he just hesitated momentarily. The linesman didn't signal. But either way, Argentina, although they're not in the game as much as Australia are, they'll be very content that the score stays at 0-0. And what about this? Here's Arnold. Arnold shoots and shoots wide. The chance of the game. 23 minutes in. The Australian pressure told at the end, and Arnold perhaps should have done a bit more with that, John.
Well, there was a present, it was something unexpected. There were just so many. Well done by Zelic. Arnie winning it as well. And even Arnie will tell you he should have done a little bit better with that. Those types of opportunities don't come very often in games like this. And unfortunately, it wasn't put away by Australia.
The Arnold-Slater combination has worked perfectly for Australia. They were teammates at Sydney, Croatia. And a bit of sportsmanship there from Paul Wade. More importantly for Argentina, Maradona is back on his feet. Borelli. Just a nod on there from Balbo. Ivanovic. Slater inside. Maradona in there, Batistuta. Up was Tobin. Vidmar's got plenty of time. Ivanovic, Wade across. Arnold on. Vidmar up there. Here comes Van Blurk. Still in play for Argentina. And they'll get the throw in. Maradona and Van Blurk. Oh, well.
I mean, the key there is that it wasn't a foul, but Diego is just so good that he knows how to get the foul. And to survive as he has at the highest level, players of top class know how to milk the foul, as you say, and that was the case there.
Ivanovic on. Maradona back for Redondo. Chamot. And some of the challenges are not for the faint-hearted out there. Ivanovic, the experienced man who had played against the likes of AC Milan at the famous San Siro. Tobin's given it away. Batistuta hooking. He was hoping Perez could have followed through, and Zelic again. It looked to be a late challenge on him. That's perhaps the most noticeable part of the Australian play. Although they've got such high calibre of opposition, Argentina synonymous with anything great in the world of football. But Australia playing on their home turf, not overawed whatsoever. Arnold and Vasquez. McAllister. Tony Vidmar in there. They'll keep it in. Slater's inside. Slater wanted it early. Vidmar's first priority was to keep it in. Zelic. Here's Tony Vidmar. Slater inside. And the pass not strong enough, perhaps. And that was a great clearance by Tobin. And some fancy acrobatics at the back by Basualdo. Bosnich. No chance at all for Tony Vidmar. Argentina, a nation of 33 million soccer fanatics. Soccer is a religion for them, as it is for all the South American countries, the #1 sport. Vidmar. That's dangerous. Ivanovic will clean up at the back. And Ivanovic still in there. Now Van Bleur. The referee allowed play to continue. The advantage. And on by Tobin. Vasquez and Arnold. Arnold in there. Borelli back cleverly too for his keeper. Argentina, the South American champions. They've won that title. The last 2 times that's been contested, as the fans applaud the decision of Sandor Pool, the free kick for Australia. No chances at all in this game for Argentina. There's been 2 good ones for Australia. Arnold involved in one of them. Dangerous play by Zelic. Fernando Redondo, the #5 in the background. He had offers from Juventus and Lazio, but stayed in Spain. In possession now. McAllister with the Boca Juniors club, one of the most famous in South America. Now Batistuta on for Balbo. Put away by Durakovic. Balbo's marker. Tony Vidmar. Arnold, the lone man up there at the moment. Back for Slater, he'll wait for the support. Goes long though for Arnold. Goycochea, easy work for him. Ivanovic and Batistuta. Wade, good first touch for Van Bleur. Maradona, and a bit of hanging on, the decision. What an historic day it is for Australia to have Diego Maradona here. His return to international football. Watch closely around the world. And again, the referee plays on, and that wasn't really an advantage in the end for Argentina. McAllister's down, and that's the worry at the moment in the back play. Carlos McAllister in his debut.
And good refereeing, and he's telling him to get up. Let's get on with the game, get up, otherwise you get a yellow card. And that's the way it should be. We see so many games, the players go down, the trainers come on, it just delays. And well, good refereeing.
Sandor Pool is rated amongst the top 10 referees by FIFA. He actually refereed Australia in 1991, where Mark Bosnich was keeping against Portugal in the semi-finals of the World Youth Championships. There's 15 minutes left in this first half. No goals yet at the Sydney Football Stadium. And a free kick for Australia. Van Bleur. Vidmar on for Slater. He's got a lovely cross, Robbie Slater, looking for Wade. At the back there, cleared by Perez. Batistuta. The numbers are coming through the midfield. Redondo. Batistuta confronted by Van Bleur. Maradona. Look at the skills of this man. He couldn't get it through though. It's back though for Redondo. The touch on and away by Tobin. Up was Arnold, and the foul against the Socceroo striker. 11 committed by the Australians in this first half, and 7 against Argentina. "13 countries have qualified for the World Cup so far. USA, of course, are hosting. Germany, the champions. Mexico, Greece, Russia, Colombia, Brazil, Bolivia, Nigeria, Cameroon, Morocco, Norway, Sweden, Saudi Arabia and South Korea qualified last week. 11 pressure spots left. Australia desperate to make it for the second time. How have you seen the game so far, John?
Well, excellent performance by Australia. The only problem, Andy, they have to convert the superiority and to take the chances, which the Arnold chance was a huge chance. But more of the same, keep the pressure up. They just haven't allowed Argentina into the game and have dominated the match by complete dominance in midfield.
Arnold taken out by Borelli. Well, play on is the rule. It looked like Arnold was taken. In comes Vidmar. But it's the free player, Chamotte, on the right. Valbo's taken off down the flank. And a great challenge by Van Blurk. Zelic. The close balling skills of Zelic have improved tremendously since his move. But Van Blurk's given it straight to Maradona, and Maradona was looking for Gabriel Batistuta.
Not the ideal player to give it to, Andy, and the type of pass that he gave once in possession just indicates the damage that he can do. Still has the touch, I think it's fair to say, well beyond his best, but has been one of the greatest, but still capable of that final pass which can decide the game, of the free kick. And I think Wade is doing an excellent job with him, not just in marking him, but his contribution to the rest of the game has been first class from Paul Wade.
You can imagine how Wade felt after being sacked from the team, losing the captaincy.
A lot of character to come back. Lost the captaincy after 3 years, missed the Canadian Games, and back to take on one of the biggest tasks in football. I'm sure in Argentina, where the whole country will be stopped at the moment, like in the Melbourne Cup happens here, Andy, they will not believe what's happening now. They would not have regarded Australia being able to play this quality, this type of football and put their team under so much pressure.
Tony Vidmar's got a very long throw. He's looking for Wade. Away by Vasquez, and now Maradona. Ivanovic keeping his eye on the ball, that's the key. Slater keeping it in and securing the throw. Vidmar, free kick for Australia. Well, I thought the referee had signalled for a foul. Maradona. Durakovic chases. Ivanovic clears. Wade should get there first. He does. Van Blurk. Danger. Van Blurk comes away with it though. And it's a throw-in for Australia too. It's come off Perez. A lot of familiar faces here today. Several Socceroos. In fact, behind our commentary position, we have Charlie Ankos, David Ratcliffe and Jeffrey Olver. Players that were involved in campaigns of 86 and 90. Bosnich has had nothing to do.
It's quite stunning.
That's something that he's not used to in recent times.
Well, that has been the dominance. Unfortunately, in a low-scoring game, dominance doesn't convert to victories, and Argentina very, very capable of hitting us on the break, capitalising on any errors. But Australia's pressuring without the ball is top class, Andy. They've just done the dirty job, as we call it, when you lose the ball, to put the opponent under so much pressure. And that ball is not out. I'll dispute with the referee on that. The whole of the ball has to cross the whole of the line, and in too many places around the world, as soon as the ball touches the line, they give it out. That ball was not out.
Now Maradona told to take the throw from its correct position. Batistuta. He scored 2 goals against Australia last year in a 2-0 victory. Here comes Maradona. Van Blurk there. Now Ivanovic, and still Maradona. In comes a dangerous looking cross, and the goal! The goal for Argentina! A tremendous goal! A moment of magic! The celebrations are deafening here. Alfio Basile will be delighted.
And relieved.
37 minutes in. Maradona's pinpoint cross. And the header was perfect. At the near post, Diego Armando Maradona setting up the goal. One 0 Argentina. A tremendous finish by Balbo.
Well, we're just on about it, Andy. Bosnich hasn't touched the ball all game. Maradona hardly been in the game. But that is the beauty of it. Just one movement that he's been involved in, one opportunity or half chance, and they put it away. And Socceroos have got to now just not to be put down. They've had so far an excellent first half, just to get their composure back. But a funny game, as they say. It's been all Australia's, but that's the way it goes. A touch of genius from Maradona, the quality of the cross and the quality of the finish. The quality of the finish is what top-class football is about around the world. Balbo, who earns his money as a striker in Italy, the toughest league in the world, gave an indication just why he can earn his living there with that splendid header.
And the scorer put the challenge in on Van Blok there. Australia really punished for not getting rid of the ball in their defensive third. And they have the work in front of them now. They've shown a lot of spirit, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of purpose in the game. They haven't been able to finish off a couple of half chances. And it took just one opportunity for Abel Balbo. Five minutes left in this first half. Australia have the work in front of them. Slater looking for Vidmar. Dispossessed there by Basualdo. The numbers are there for Argentina. Running through as the scorer, and no troubles at all for Bosnich. Vidmar and Arnold in there for Australia. Back there is Borelli. Balbo's goal splitting the teams here at the Sydney Football Stadium. A packed house. The two-time world champions ahead. Zelic. Wade. Slater. Zelic inside. Vidmar can't get it past McAllister. Several thousand Argentinian supporters here. It's more like a home game, I would think, to the visitors. Slater inside for Zelic. He's looking for the runner, and it's a good run from Vidmar. Tony Vidmar inside. Australia are back in the game. Emilio Vidmar, the scorer. Brother to brother. The Adelaide connection has come good. What an opportune time to hit back. It appeared Australia had the backs to the wall. And it was Aurelio Vidmar, the destroyer, the Vulcan ball-playing midfielder, has levelled it here. Joy for the fans at the Sydney Football Stadium. I said it was more like a home game, but after hearing the reaction to the goal, that's Australia back at 1-1. 42 minutes in. A delightful ball by Zelic. Don't forget the contribution there. Vidmar stuck in. The ball inside the finish from Aurelio Vidmar. The younger brother setting up the older brother. And the celebrations will be non-stop, I would think, up until half-time, particularly in Adelaide. We saw earlier in the game that combination looked very decisive in one instance. It felt like the stadium was shaking underneath me as Vidmar put that ball away. The moment of brilliance by Maradona and Balboa overshadowed by the contribution of the Vidmar brothers. Now the Socceroos have to defend. There's a minute and 30 seconds of normal time left in this half. And a corner now for Argentina. The brothers Vidmar, the saviours. Australia organised, looking out for the runners. Batistuta's fairly deep. Maradona with the corner. Away there at the near post by Van Blurk. And there's Van Blurk. Slater's inside. Slater's on. Arnold through the centre. He should take Borelli on. Throwing for Australia. Good covering work from Borelli. Slater wants to speed it up. They want another goal before the break. Zelic inside Arnold. The offside flag up though. That was touch and go too. A good run from Arnold. Australia are certainly not overawed by the calibre of opponent here. Eddie Thompson content to go to the break at 1-1. What about the number 14 there? He was certainly onside on that replay. Shamrock kept him onside. Arnold was through. A controversial decision, that one, as you would have seen on the replay. Well, what a difference a goal makes to the confidence of the Socceroos. This is an exceptional performance from the Socceroos. They've had really limited time to get together. It only really happened when they played against New Zealand over 2 legs and then Canada over 2. But the joy and the celebrations of that Argentina goal short-lived. 5 minutes later, that man fighting for possession, Aurelio Vidmar, equalised. The great Argentina, who from the 1990 World Cup final went through an unbeaten streak of 33 games before falling to Colombia. Perhaps it's important to note that in 6 World Cup qualifiers in this campaign, they have conceded 10 goals. Australia have conceded 5 in 8. The defence has been shaky and it was exposed there. We saw earlier in the game Australia with a couple of opportunities, particularly Graham Arnold in the 23rd minute. Wade looks up, sees Mehmet Jurakovic. Van Blurk. Vidmar. Van Blurk's there. And a good, well, not a very good clearance. Jurakovic. And we know the shooting capabilities of Mehmet Jurakovic. Already in this World Cup campaign, Jurakovic has scored twice. Actually, don't be fooled, that's not really a headband. Jurakovic had a nasty cut in a Coca-Cola Soccer League fixture which required 15 stitches. He played one game since that horrific accident in the Coca-Cola Soccer League Cup 3 weeks ago. Slater tried to get it through for Arnold. Aurelio Vidmar. Van Blerk. 2 minutes of injuries have been added. Borelli in ahead of Arnold. It must be close. The whistle for half-time is, I would think, a matter of seconds away. Borelli goes down, the referee. There is some concern for Borelli. It's been a great World Cup match. I'm sure you're all enjoying the spectacle here. Australia have played some delightful football. Argentina have held fairly firmly at the back. There hasn't been enough supply for the midfielders. But who can forget that magic cross from Maradona? Van Blerk's throw looking for Wade Arnold. Van Blerk still there. Goal kick, yes, it had to be a goal kick. Maradona celebrated his birthday yesterday. He turned 33. And in the scope of things here, birthdays mean nothing. Qualification for the World Cup finals next year in the United States is the #1 priority. And there is the half-time whistle. What a stunning conclusion we've had here. It was scoreless until the 37th minute. Valbo's goal put Argentina ahead. 5 minutes later, Aurelio Vidmar pulled it back to 1-1 in magnificent fashion. The combatants leave the field here. Australia would be no doubt relieved to have pulled it back, but it's been a great 45 minutes and stoppages, of course.
The referee is coming out. The Australians are already out on the field. The standard of refereeing, Robbie?
Well, I've been very impressed with the official FIFA has sent here. He's been strict. He really remonstrated with an Argentinian forward early in the game, even though he wasn't involved in the foul. I think he's been extremely fair, but what you've got to also admit, Les, that Australia's increased international standing, I think, has given us a reputation that we just cannot be taken for granted. And there's even more good news for Australian
Fabulous
soccer.
news. 43,000, nearly 44,000 fans, a ground record, appropriately enough, here at the Sydney Football Stadium. It was labelled the most important football match ever played in this country, and I think that is without doubt that in global terms, this is a match of immense historical significance. 45 minutes still to come. The Australians out there warming up. They've been given a set of footballs to kick around while they're waiting for the Argentinians to come out. And a bit of a psychological battle going on, do you think, with the Argentinians not being in a hurry to come out?
Well, I think they're just using every opportunity they can just to probably disrupt the Australians, because they have been in extremely good form. The Australians really want to get out and on with this game. They want to take it to the Argentinians. And as you said, Les, that's indicative of the way that they've played in this first half. But the players in the tunnel at the moment just getting together. They won't be unhappy with this result, Les. I think they'll build on this at this stage and then try and just contain the Australians. I think that will be the second half, containment by Argentina.
Okay, there's Diego Maradona leading his Argentinians out. Let's go back now to our commentators, Andy Pascalidis and Johnny Warren.
Yes, hello again, welcome. After that unexpected delay, the players are out there on the pitch having a look around. There's been no changes made to either side. And John, as a former Socceroo captain, what sort of problems would that delay have had?
I don't think any delay, particularly for the South American boys, because that happens every second night in South America. I've been to so many matches there where games even called off because of the power faults, but no effect at all. Australia, no changes as expected. I think Eddie would be looking for more of the same, perhaps to take those opportunities that we missed in the first half and to contain Argentina again, much the same as we did in the first half.
Sandor Paul is happy. Australia running from the left to the right-hand side this time. Slater, the real danger player. There's been some great performances all round from the Coca-Cola Socceroos. Arnold. Away is Van Blerk. And across there in cover was Hugo Perez. Wade there for Australia. Slater inside. Too many Argentine players there. In goes Wade. Redondo releasing. Wade back there. Play on, the referee says. Tobin with the hasty clearance. And the 27-year-old draftsman, who is really a veteran now, you could say, in the Australian side. And what a coaching staff that is. There's Scheinfeld, Eddie Thompson and Raul Blanco. A cultural mix. A German, a Scotsman and an Argentine, but they're Aussies through and through now. And they would have been somewhat relieved at that equaliser from Aurelio Vidmar. Critical to note that the away goal, if, say it's a draw 0-0 in the second leg and it stays at 1-1, Argentina will advance on away goal rules. That's what happened actually here at the City Football Stadium. Australia won that game against Canada, the second leg 2-1. That was the same score also in the first leg. It went to a penalty shootout. Possession given away by Tobin. Batistuta is onside. Gabriel Batistuta can't get through and they get the corner. That's the start Argentina were looking for. Batistuta was trying to line it up and try and curl it into that top corner, I would think. No emotion from the Argentina coach. Alfio Basile. Diego Maradona with a corner kick. One of the photographers just cramping his style somewhat. Bosnich with his eye on it. A good easy take for him. The man who was with Manchester United. Liverpool were after him. He ended up at Aston Villa. Tobin. Vidmar and Chamot up. Perez. Redondo inside. It's a great pass across from McAllister. In was Jurakovic ahead of Balbo, but Redondo comes away again. Maradona dispossessed by Zelic. Arnold. Redondo back though. Vasquez across for Chamot. One for Batistuta and Tobin to chase. Again, the two combatants on that far side. And the ball was out. Goal kick for Australia. Just on the crowd, John, a record.
And not surprising, pity there wasn't a bigger stadium, Andy. And there will be a bigger one in Buenos Aires on the 17th when Australia-Argentina will be the last qualifier known for the United States. It is a fantastic stadium, scene of the 1978 World Cup. Several of the players here in the Argentinian team play for the River Plate club. It will be an atmosphere unmatched, as our boys will find out. But Argentina started a little bit more composed in the second half. keeping possession of the ball. I thought that statistic that Australia outpossessed them in the first half was quite stunning.
That's great close-in ball play there. One touch, perfect. Zelic looking for Arnold. Now Wade gets in there ahead of Maradona. Van Blurk. Zelic slips, Wade comes over there. Looks for Arnold. Goycochea keeping his eye proceedings. Vasquez on first Chamots, and it comes off Van Blurk. That's been perhaps one of the most notable aspects of the overseas contingent, their one-touch play.
Well, they're playing as professional players, and their skill improves immensely. They have to, the pressure of the games that they play in, they don't have the time and space. And the skill either, the touch either improves or you don't make it.
Slater. Tony Vidmar, Slater running away to the right-hand side. Vidmar, still Tony Vidmar. And he can't get the shot on. Basualdo. The scorer, Balbo. Batistuta offside. Gabriel Batistuta scored 19 goals in the Italian First Division last season. A revelation for Fiorentina, but they were relegated. They're leading the second division at the moment. And Batistuta has scored in every game. Here comes Van Blurk. That's a great run, an incisive run. He goes down at the edge of the area. No free kick, says the referee. Now Goycochea, the back pass rule, causing him some concern at the back. Perez, Maradona, Wade ahead of him. One of the rare runs from Maradona, looking for Batistuta. Vintage Maradona, Batistuta, the understanding between those two perfect. Just that pass, too much behind it. Wade. Vidmar is on the far right if Jurakovic wants him. Basualdo back, Borelli. Balbo gets away from Jurakovic and Zelic. Maradona and Wade. McAllister. Balbo. Redondo. Perez. They're opening him up through the middle. Vidmar chases Perez. That could be a booking, I would think.
And it was a deliberate foul, Andy. It deserves a booking. Argentina very impressive in the second half. The confidence and composure is back. Really, Vidmar there, for me, a little lucky to get away with not getting the yellow card. Maradona dangerous from here. We saw in the training session the other day him score 3 goals from 3 attempts from this sort of distance.
And also the number 15 who is behind Batistuta, Perez. He's got a bit of a wicked shot as well. Will they look to try and chip it over the top of the Australian defence or go direct for goal? And it's the cheeky chip for Balbo. The back heel and no one in there. And really the opportunity goes begging for Argentina. A clever back heel by Balbo. It was the cheeky chip from Maradona and no one there to take advantage. And the desperation there from Jurakovic cleared away in the end by Ivanovic. Australia under some pressure. Ivanovic, now Van Blurk. Arnold, the lone man up there, gets away from Borelli. No one inside, he's got to play it back for Vidmar. The switch is on for Zelic if he can get it right across. Inside Slater. Slater. And Van Blurk, he was considering making a challenge, although McAllister got in there first. Some words there at the moment between Slater and Perez. Slater wasn't too happy with something that happened off the ball. And it's a booking for both players. Perez booked in his debut for Argentina. Van Blurk looks for the runner. Down the line is Arnold. No one in the box at the moment. Van Blurk. Inside is Arnold. And that ball across was blocked by Borelli. Some might have expected a first-time shot, but it's still on for Australia. Argentina have got the numbers there. Zelic trying to thread a way through. Had to play it back for Wade. Wade looks up for support. Intelligent ball really for Zelic. Now he'll get it in. And away by Vasquez. Now it's Argentina's turn to defend. Zelic has come close. That's who it's aimed for. Now Wade. Wade shot deflection. Corner kick. It was certainly on its way to goal. It fell invitingly for the Socceroo captain, Paul Wade. And a timely interception. It looked like it was Basualdo. Goicoechea comes. A good take. The 30-year-old veteran, he came out to Australia back in 1981 and represented the youth team in the World Youth Championships, which Australia defeated Argentina. That was the start of a great run for the national youth teams of Australia. Well, at the moment, only Arnold up there. Van Blurk looks for someone. Down the line is Arnold. Again. McAllister keeping his eye on the ball. Jurakovic. Across though, Tobin. There's some runners. Zelic. He'll try and steal a corner here, perhaps. He's got to throw in either way. A good sequence for Australia. Tony Vidmar has a long throw. Wade will go near post for the not on, perhaps. An easy header for McAllister. Batistuta goes down, Maradona. Tobin in there. Redondo. And he dragged three of the Socceroos away. Tobin cleared it in the end. Maradona. Deft touch for Balbo. Chamot. Perez on the right. Batistuta inside. Van Blurk with a challenge. Batistuta wants it. Maradona gets it. Jurakovic. And now the Australian defence has to organise itself. A great game here at the Sydney Football Stadium. 1-1 the score. 13 minutes into this second half. The gallant Socceroos putting up a brave fight against the two-time world champions Argentina. The ball for Perez. He gets his cross in. Batistuta! And if he connected, who knows? Gabriel Batistuta has a superb strike rate in the World Game. 17 goals in 25 matches for Argentina. Arnold getting in there ahead of Vasquez. A hasty clearance by McAllister. Up goes Perez. In goes Arnold. And away runs now is Vidmar, Aurelio Vidmar. Van Blurk, Zelic inside. Tony Vidmar deep on the right. Zelic drags one of the players away. Jurakovic now. Will he go deep? He plays it short for Slater. Captain Socceroo, Paul Wade, sees Vidmar. This is a delightful run. Vidmar goes down. No penalty. Vidmar had made a superb run in. I didn't really think there was a major clash at all.
My first reaction is no penalty. And I'd agree with the first reaction. Not a penalty at all.
Just maybe
the referee has been first class
yes,
in his decisions, and that was a correct one. And so is that. Foot high.
And the difference in the refereeing standard from the last game here, quite noticeable. ...30 minutes left. Tony Vidmar. His brother Aurelio wants it deep. It's falling invitingly for him. He's up there. Aurelio's in. Goicoechea with a save and a crucial one at that. And it's a well, feet up perhaps against Graham Arnold is the call. Either way, it would have been a goal kick. But the understanding between the Vidmar brothers, Aurelio signalled early. He got up there. There was a chance there for him. Goicoechea got in. The chant goes around this magnificent stadium. Aussie, Aussie. Well and truly in this match. The referee waited for the advantage because he saw a late challenge. There wasn't one there. And I'm sure the FIFA officials are watching his performance closely. And I mentioned earlier in the course, Sandor Poole had come to Australia on Friday night. And jet lag always hits on the second day, which is this day, of course, and he's only had about 2 to 3 hours sleep. Redondo, that's a deft touch. Balbo looking for Batistuta. Bosnich away safely. It was a good idea because he wasn't too sure how close Batistuta was. Had to play it safe. Now, Maradona and his teammates would have to be happy with a 1-1 draw if it stays like this. Ivanovic, there was Wade. Maradona down in the back play. In all sorts of trouble too, Arnold. And McAllister clears it away and Arnold cops it late. Well, Arnold's copped it really badly. He's not the sort of player who would feign an injury. If you've met a more committed player in this Australian team, you don't look much further than Graham Arnold. You'll see here Arnold and McAllister following through. And I'm surprised the referee didn't spot that. Arnold's back in the game though. He's come back on. Slater taking Redondo on. Robbie Slater. Back for Van Blerk. And Redondo dispossesses Van Blerk. At the moment, Argentina with 10 men. Maradona out of action. He's taken a bit of a knock, it looks to the back somewhere. The world's most celebrated player out of the cauldron at the moment. Australia have the man advantage. Is it fair to call Maradona a mere mortal of a man? Tobin kept his eye on the ball. Slater. The intensity has picked up in the last 5 or 10. Zelic. Again, down that line was Arnold. Vasquez in there. Arnold has not stopped all day. The running he's been doing away from the centre on the flanks has been excellent. Maradona back in. Slater there. He's had a top game. Tony Vidmar. Vidmar can't get past McAllister. Slater. And that might be a booking. Because the referee has called McAllister across. And now it's another debutant who'll go in the book. That's the pressure of World Cup football. Slater, the danger man. McAllister left with no other option. And the Australians have picked up the tempo. Wade, Aurelio Vidmar, Arnold up there, deep. They're all deep, no one at the near post. Slater with a free kick, too low. Batistuta, Durakovic up, Tony Vidmar. Slater, back for Maradona, Batistuta on. Ivanovic, well, there was no need, he was under no pressure there. One of the rare mistakes from Milan Ivanovic. No one down the line. Wade drops. And he's got a throw in as well. Batistuta, the target of an offer of 20 million from Turkey. And his team Fiorentina hanging on to the most prized possession. Tobin on by Zelic. Durakovic away. And the referee again spotting the infringement. Close to the action. 25 minutes left in this game. Milan Ivanovic, a former Coca-Cola Soccer League Player of the Year. Arnold trying to get it on for Vidmar. Vidmar goes down from the challenge of the Balbo. The referee telling the Argentinians to back away. And this is in a most inviting position. Aurelio Vidmar certainly knows the tricks of the trade. Goycochea's happy with his ball. Zelic. McAllister's knocked the 10 metres. Van Blurk and Slater either side. And McAllister was well and truly awake to it. Well, he's held onto the ball and he's already been booked. And I'm just wondering what the decision is there. McAllister looked like he was clipped. Perez. Tobin. Cleared away. Van Blurk inside for Zelic. Easy cut-out work for Chamot. Now Vidmar. Basualdo. And possession surprisingly given away. Van Blurk. Cool play by Argentina. Maradona inside for Redondo. Balbo back for Perez. Chamot inside. Fernando Redondo and Slater. Redondo there first. Batistuta down, quickly taken. Redondo. Wade and Maradona. Vidmar. Well, the call might have been there. Durakovic got in there, but it wasn't enough. Maradona again. Redondo. Maradona. Perez got it across now. Batistuta chases with Tobin. And there was, yes, a little bit of pushing on Alex Tobin.
Argentina really can sense now, Andy, that the draw that they want here in Sydney is within their grasp. 20 minutes to go. I think Australia will make the change. Mitchell has been warming up, and I think that is a good change. Australia's got to take a little bit of a gamble shortly because the clock is starting to run against them.
Arnold looking for support. Inside is Zelic. Zelic has got Durakovic square. Durakovic should shoot from there. Nemanja Durakovic. Vidmar across to Slater. A delightful ball, inviting one for Vidmar. Headed away by Chamot. In was Arnold. Chamot again. 2-on-2 at the moment. Tobin. A hasty clearance forward. Arnold should get up there with 3 Argentinian players. And look at this, it falls straight at Batistuta, who's found Balbo, but Wade was there. Captain Courageous does it again. A hospital ball for Wade. Maradona. Redondo. Basualdo is down at the moment. That challenge with Wade. Maradona. He looked for Basualdo, who was walking off the pitch. Maradona says, well, I didn't know. How have you seen Maradona's game so far?
Well, much more active in the second half. His first touch is fantastic. I think the fact that they haven't been in the game in the first half, particularly in midfield, he wasn't allowed to show what he can do, except, of course, that the decisive involvement in the goal. But that's not offside there, and that's the type of thing... Oh, it is offside. It's the type of situation Australia's got to avoid, of getting caught square at the back. Batistuta is such a predator in front. He'll make us pay for it. Mitchell will be the change, I feel, to come on and partner Arnold in front. And it's a good move.
Change will be made. Gustavo Zapata, who has just recently joined the Nissan club in Japan, formerly with River Plate. Zapata will come in.
Very fast, very tricky player. I saw him when they won the Copa America in Ecuador earlier this year. He played instead of Basualdo. He will add a new dimension to Argentina. Very good with the ball, very tricky type of player who can hold it up and use up the minutes, which no doubt is Argentina's intent at this stage, with the draw that they want well within their sights now.
And Zapata was dropped for this game on the casualties of that 5-0 defeat to Colombia. Redondo, Maradona. Zapata's first touch. McAllister. Australia will be making a change. David Mitchell will come on for Tony Vidmar. McAllister. Zapata there. Tony Vidmar right on his heels. Slater coolly back for Milan Ivanovic, looking for the switch. And Zelic moved quickly across when Perez was coming through, but Van Blerk's taken off on the left. And that wasn't a bad-looking ball at the beginning. Change to be made for Australia. David Mitchell. Not the most experienced when it comes to caps for Australia, but he's been involved in quite a few World Cup campaigns. Tony Vidmar, they won't forget his contribution, setting up that goal.
A tactical change, and Mitchell really influenced the game when he came on against Canada. Enough experience. He's going to join Arnold in front, and it's going to be pressure time for the Socceroos now. They've really got to go all or nothing with just a little over 15 minutes remaining.
And Mitchell, of course, helped set up that dramatic goal from Mehmet Durakovic, which made it 2-1 against Canada. Mitchell joined Millwall in England, and Ivanovic has made a clumsy mistake, but he's still in there. Now Wade, and Wade, that's again a courageous challenge. Slater will take McAllister on, no doubt. It doesn't come off this time. Zelic, he's covered a lot of ground in the midfield. He's looked cool in possession. Slater, there's no one up there. And that'll be a throw-in for Australia. Slater, there was really no one around him to help him. Mitchell. He goes down under the challenge of McAllister. Durakovic looking for Mitchell again. Maybe the left side would have been a much better option. Maradona. Redondo sticking right next to his captain. Redondo looks up. Balbo and Batistuta crisscrossing up the front. That's why they're waiting at the moment. Balbo threading it on delightfully too. Batistuta inside, Slater there in cover. Wade. Van Blurk will jockey it out. No, he'll get the throw either way. It's been a big day for Jason Van Blurk.
Well, it'd be hard to pick a man of the match for Australia, Andy, when there's so many contenders. Van Blurk would be one of them. I think Zelic in midfield has had an outstanding match. He's been head-to-head with Redondo, who's so highly fancied throughout the world. And Ned's come out well on top on points.
Mitchell, sandwiched between two players. "15 minutes left. 15 left. Can Australia snatch a dramatic winner?" Vasquez. Mitchell came in late. And that'll be a booking.
It's fair enough, it was a late challenge.
Vasquez cleared and Mitchell came through. A bad challenge. The fourth booking of the game, and all of those have fallen in the second half. Alfio Basile represented his country. Took over from Carlos Pilargo. And in his heyday, he was an uncompromising style of defender as well. Maradona. Redondo. In was Wade. McAllister. Slater. Wade. Challenges all round. McAllister looks for Batistuta. Zapata. Wade and Maradona. A good call at maybe the master and the apprentice. Referee again waiting for the advantage, and it wasn't on because Slater was back there for Australia. He's trying to let the game flow as much as possible. Maradona just milking a couple of extra meters there. Wade not back the 10 meters. Balbo. Maradona and Wade. Well, he's given it straight to Maradona. Should have looked for Bosnich for a quick clearance. And now, well, way too deep. Way too deep from Perez. Who would want to be a national coach? Slater, that's intelligent play. Tobin. Wade and Maradona. Delightful header on for Zapata. Balbo. Durakovic staying with him. Redondo. Maradona looks for support. It's there in Zapata. McAllister. Tobin away. It's straight to Zapata. Maradona. They're controlling it at the moment, Argentina. Batistuta takes off and shoots, and Bosnich got down to that near post. Well, I'm sure Bosnich made a great save there. The linesman says no. The referee takes it from the linesman. And I'm sure you'll see here, Bosnich just pushed it around the post here. Just making sure. There's only 10 minutes of normal time remaining in this first leg. The final phase of qualification for both countries. Australia, the underdog, in there with a real show against the great Argentina. Arnold not happy at all, but who would argue with Maradona?
You're asking on his performance and his second half. As the game's going on, he's having more and more influence. He can hardly walk, but he still has the ability to be able to play the ball first time and dropping back more and more into midfield just to keep possession, be available and keep possession. Argentina will be delighted to get out of this game with 1-1.
Zelic, remember that fantastic run? Zelic down. Play on is the decision by the referee. Jurakovic. That was a bit ominous for Australia. Everyone here at the football stadium on the edge of their seats. Wade. Down there is Arnold. The constant shadow Vasquez. Van Blurk. Vidmar comes across. They've left him through at the edge of the area. Vidmar. Goal kick. Aurelio Vidmar. This season for his club Vatican, they've been struggling. He scored 3 goals in 9 games before coming out to Australia. Made his international debut on his 21st birthday back in 1988. But he's really cemented his place in this campaign. Just 12 appearances for his country. Slater. McAllister ahead of him. Deflects away for Redondo. McAllister there. And a big hasty clearance. Ivanovic. Very cool under pressure, Milan Ivanovic. Voted the best player on the park against Canada. Mitchell and McAllister. Mitchell hasn't seen enough of the ball so far. And that goes against Mitchell. After his stint in Turkey, he was a target of 8 offers from clubs in Britain. Settled with Millwall and has played just 2 games since that Canada match here at the football stadium. Maradona. Only one man can do it, and it's Diego Armando Maradona. Batistuta. The shot. Easy work for Bosnich. He takes it quickly for Arnold. At the moment, it's 2 Australians against 3 Argentinians. Mitchell. And Mitchell just couldn't get onto it. Borelli was the last man. You can see the anxiety in the faces of the supporters here in Sydney. Australia have proved on countless occasions how good they are on the world stage at every level, bar this, the World Cup. They have perhaps the most difficult passage to qualify out of all countries in the world. They won the Oceania group. They accounted for the Solomon Islands and Tahiti first, and they played the winner of the other Oceania group, New Zealand. They beat them over 2 legs. Then they beat Canada over 2, and it came down to penalties. Mitchell. With a great recovery from Perez. Redondo, he can see the space. Redondo. And there was Alex Tobin. Vidmar. In times gone by, it would have been a hasty clearance away by an Australian team. But such is the confidence. Bosnich. Mitchell comes across. There is 5 minutes of normal time left. Still locked at 1-1. Thousands of Argentinian supporters on that far side. They've been in good voice tonight. McAllister. Tobin in there first. He was clipped there by Batistuta. That's been a familiar sight quite a few times. There's Diego Maradona's wife with the white cap on there. 14 of his family members here in Australia. Claudia and the 2 children here as well. Arnold was looming as McAllister got it away, and the great chest down by Diego Maradona, finding his man and squeezing it through to Batistuta. Ivanovic in there, Van Blurk. Bosnich with plenty of time and room. He wants them to move out of the defensive third, which they've done. Looks for Mitchell. Mitchell on for Arnold. Arnold looking for Vidmar. Aurelio Vidmar. Backus across there for Mitchell. And Borelli, clever play at the back.
I think Australia got to forget all about football now, Andy, and just concentrate on getting the ball in the air to Mitchell. He's stronger in the air than anyone else. This ball is a good idea, but just not enough for him. But Mitchell can win it in the air. So just let's get it into the box, use Mitchell, and put the real pressure, try and put the pressure on that way in these last 5 minutes.
Well, none of the Australians went up for it then. Great back heel by Balbo. He goes down under the challenge of Jurakovic. And the referee, Sandor Pool, saying that Balbo obstructed Jurakovic and he doesn't want the doctor on, and he's pushed the doctor away. Balbo staying on the ground. The referee not happy at all. He wants Balbo to get up. Maradona's having a few words to say about it. And Slater just moves across to take the free kick. The first half 0 down at the moment. That's not a bad way to try and milk some time, because 1-1 is a great result for Argentina. Well, if the referee wanted him to get up, he maybe should have pulled out a card. That would have, or threatened to pull out a card. Maradona had a few words to say to. Looked like a bit of a wine. One of those things you put wine in. But it is cold water. Just his mere presence has lifted the spirits of the Argentinian side since they arrived here over a week ago. And a change, it looks like, will be made. Balbo is coming off.
Caceres, a defender.
A defender.
So indicates shut shop. They're happy with 1-1. Caceres was very close to playing in the starting lineup. But Argentina, again, quite happy to leave here at 1-1.
Perez, Redondo, Maradona, Vidmar with a steal, Wade, Slater across. They're throwing men deep in the box. Slater, and he gets a delightful ball in. They're lining up. Now Van Blurk! There was the chance for Australia. Jason Van Blurk could have been the hero. Just too keen, perhaps, but the danger of Slater's cross. They all went up there. Van Blurk came through. That might be the last opportunity of the game. The 45 minutes are almost up. There'll probably be about 3 minutes of stoppages. Australia have done enough to win this game, but on the scoreboard, it's 1-1. Wade. Van Blurk. Vidmar. Mitchell, can he break away? Not this time. Injury time. Zelic. Wade back there. Van Blurk. And a throw in. Argentina content with this scoreline. What role will the away goal play in the outcome of this two-leg series between the Socceroos and Argentina? And perhaps if that ball earlier fell for one of the strikers or midfielders, it might have been a different story. Ivanovic. Van Blurk has got a bit of room ahead of him. Looking for Arnold. Arnold and McAllister. Slater's there in support. That's a good looking ball for Mitchell, and that'll be a corner. It is a corner. It did come off an Argentinian player. Will one of the Socceroos stand up and become a hero? The eyes of the nation are on Australia. Maradona booked in his comeback game, arguing the point a bit too much, perhaps. Quite a few Socceroos in that box. Van Blurk with a corner kick. Swinging it straight to Maradona. Jurakovic. Mitchell in there. And a foul against the big man. He's been active, David Mitchell. There's been now 2 minutes and 45 seconds of stoppages. Argentina made the 1990 final in the World Cup. They won it in '86 with Maradona the star. They won it in '78. And there, in fact, is the full-time whistle. A 1-1 draw in the first leg. Not the victory Australia had been hoping for. But they put on such a brave and fine performance. Maradona not happy with the booking. Overall, a great display for Australia, but they had some chances which they should have put away, perhaps.
Yeah, the difference was taking the chances. We had them particularly in the first half, where the performance was excellent from Australia, one of the best performances by an Australian team. And I doubt, without putting a dampening on what's been an excellent evening, Andy, I doubt if 1-1 is enough to take over and defend in Buenos Aires.